Welcome to part 15 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg. In this series, we deep dive cases including true crime, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, strange events, cryptids, internet mysteries, and more. The slaying of Missy Bevers. In the early hours of April 18, 2016, a deeply unsettling incident unfolded at the Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas. Missy Bevers, a 45-year-old fitness instructor, was preparing to conduct an early morning fitness class when she was slain by an unknown assailant. The pivotal piece of evidence in this investigation is surveillance footage showing an unidentified individual. This individual is clad in what appeared to be police SWAT gear while wandering the church's hallways. This footage has fueled widespread speculation regarding the identity and motives of the person involved. Missy's close family members were almost immediately ruled out. The investigation scrutinized Bevers' close circle, including her husband Brandon and father-in-law Randy, both of whom were quickly cleared based on confirmed alibis. Brandon was away on a fishing trip in Mississippi, and Randy was in California. At present, little evidence has been released by investigators in relation to this active and ongoing investigation. Further, no persons of interest or suspects have been named in the case. Anyone with information regarding this case is strongly encouraged to contact the Midlothian Police Department Criminal Investigation Division. The disappearance of Randy Leach. This case was suggested by subscriber Wes Coker. The disappearance of Randy Wayne Leach remains baffling and has unfortunately been overshadowed by many bizarre rumors and allegations. On April 15, 1988, Randy, a 17-year-old senior from Linwood, Kansas, vanished without a trace after attending a friend's pre-graduation party. Despite extensive investigations, his whereabouts, along with the car he was driving, a 1985 Dodge sedan, remain unknown. Randy's night began at 6:30 p.m. when he left his home to attend the party, making a few stops along the way. It wasn't until between 9:30 and 10 p.m. that he arrived at the party, a gathering that hosted up to 150 guests and involved significant drug and alcohol use. Though Randy was seen acting inebriated, it's uncertain if he consumed any alcohol himself. I note that there have been suggestions that Randy was drugged at the party, though this appears to be pure speculation. His last known sighting was around 2:15 a.m., and he never made it home, leading to his parents reporting him missing the following day. Investigations into Randy's disappearance were complicated by several factors. Unfortunately, a complete cleanup of the party site happened before law enforcement could examine it. Further, as seems to be a given with disappearances in the 1980s, rumors began to swirl that Randy had been the target of a satanic cult. Soon after the disappearance, a man came forth claiming to have been held captive by such a cult and seeing a corpse that could have been Randy's. This claim, however, was later dismissed by police who determined that the man was suffering from a hallucination induced by drug use. In the early 1990s, 3 men were arrested in connection with Randy's disappearance, but were released without charges, as no substantial evidence linked them to the case. The leading theories are as follows. Randy was the victim of foul play. This theory is simple. He ran afoul of someone at the party and didn't leave of his own accord. Ultimately, however, there is no evidence whatsoever for this. That said, this may be because the house party site wasn't investigated by the police until well after the cleanup occurred. Another leading theory is that Randy drove home under the influence and accidentally ended up driving his vehicle off the road and into a body of water. I note that there are other such cases of this happening, with the missing person not being found for decades after. The Randy Leach investigation, while of course cold, is still active. If you have any information regarding his disappearance, please contact the Kansas Bureau of Investigation or the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office. Die Glocke. Die Glocke, or the bell in English, is one of the most controversial topics surrounding Nazi Germany's secret projects. Die Glocke was purportedly a top-secret scientific technological device developed by the Nazis, characterized by its bell-like shape and alleged anti-gravitational effects. The legend of Die Glocke was first brought to mainstream attention by Polish journalist Igor Witkowski around the year 2000. The description of Die Glocke involves a device made from a hard, heavy metal, standing about 13 feet tall, with a bell-like shape. It allegedly utilized a pair of counter-rotating cylinders filled with a violet-colored substance known as Zerum 525, alongside another substance called Leichtmetall. The device was rumored to be capable of producing an anti-gravitational effect. The operational base for Die Glocke was said to be a facility called the Giant, located near the Czech border. Despite these detailed descriptions, the lack of physical evidence and reliable documentation has led many to question the veracity of these claims. Critics and skeptics, however, have pointed out the lack of concrete evidence supporting the existence of Die Glocke. These critiques suggest that the narrative of Die Glocke, while fascinating, is more likely a concoction of post-war conspiracy theories and sensationalism rather than a historical fact. The narrative of Die Glocke did not exist in isolation. It was part of a larger pattern of post-war fascination with secret Nazi projects and alleged wonder weapons. The secrecy surrounding actual advanced Nazi technology lends significant credence to the theory. Further, there were famously legitimate, earth-shattering breakthroughs that came out of such programs. These inventions include the V-2 rocket, the first jet plane, the first night vision equipment, and the first assault rifle. Further German propaganda during the war was keen to play up these significant innovations, and the Allies, upon defeating the Germans, had little incentive to downplay German capability. Whatever you may say about the actual capabilities of this purported craft, pursuing such a project would not be outside of the Nazi wheelhouse. The Nazis' pursuit of advanced and esoteric technologies, such as the purported Die Glocke, can potentially be attributed to two known quantities associated with them: their relentless quest for military superiority and their interest in applying the occult to science and engineering. The Third Reich was known for its fascination with the arcane and the potential of groundbreaking technologies to turn the tide of World War II in their favor. Projects like Die Glocke would align with the Nazi regime's ambitions to develop Wunderwaffen, or wonder weapons, that could potentially offer them a decisive advantage. This drive was fueled by a combination of desperation, the ideological belief in German supremacy, and the desire to achieve technological feats that would dominate their adversaries. That said, ultimately the existence of such a project lacks evidence. I note that proponents of the theory point to Project Paperclip and other programs designed to transfer German technology and know-how in favor of Die Glocke. It's important to remember that Project Paperclip, while widely known now, was a secret program at the time. Further, some theories suggest that the Nazi leadership used this machine to escape Germany for the comfy caves of the Hollow Earth, through an opening in Antarctica. I feel like a deep dive on that issue may be more suited for a conspiracy theory iceberg series, though. On that note, let me know in the comments if there's any interest in an extensive conspiracy theory iceberg series. And stay tuned, because I will be discussing Hollow Earth theory later in this video. Woo Bum Con. In April 1982, South Korea was rocked by one of the most devastating incidents in its history, perpetrated by Woo Bum Con. Woo, a police officer, acting out of profound evil, slew 62 individuals before ending himself, in what was then the largest mass slaying event in history. This tragic event, known for its sheer scale and impact, has been the subject of extensive analysis and discussion, aiming to understand the underlying causes and motivations. Wu Bumkan's actions began following a domestic altercation with his girlfriend. After the altercation, he armed himself with an extensive arsenal from the police armory, including M2 carbines, handguns, ammunition, and hand grenades. Oh, and one more thing, Wu was no ordinary rural cop. He had served in an elite unit of the South Korean military and was highly proficient in small arms. Utilizing his knowledge of local areas and leveraging the trust placed in him as a police officer, Wu embarked on a killing spree that lasted several hours. Unsurprisingly, Wu's psychological state before the incident, as indicated by relatives and close friends, was fragile. They painted a picture of an unstable and isolated man grappling with severe depression, anxiety, and an inferiority complex. Despite these warning signs, the precise motive behind his actions remains largely speculative, with some attributing it to a sudden outburst of blind rage stemming from personal grievances. Also, to humanize the scale of the loss, I've included a poignant photograph of a child grieving the loss of his family. The dead internet theory. The dead internet theory suggests a digital world predominantly inhabited by artificial intelligence. Under this theory, genuine human interactions and content are overshadowed by bots and algorithmically generated material. This theory posits that a significant portion of online activity and content is not the product of human creativity, but of sophisticated software programs designed to mimic it. The roots of this theory trace back to claims that the internet effectively died around 2016 or 2017, entering a phase where AI-driven content began to dominate. According to some interpretations, this shift was orchestrated by powerful entities, including governments, to manipulate global populations through endless content. This narrative aligns with broader anxieties about authenticity and the erosion of human agency in the digital age, where the lines between reality and simulation blur. Social media platforms have become battlegrounds in this narrative. Instances on Twitter, now X, where bot activity and the propagation of identical messages led to suspicions of widespread non-human interaction, exemplify concerns about the authenticity of online engagement. Further, a significant amount of Reddit's content appears to be disguised advertisements for major brands. Some speculate the widespread, quote, upvoting of these clear advertisements is evidence of bot activity. Anyway, in my view, the internet is more alive than ever at this point, with larger and larger portions of the populace being perpetually online in some form. The location of the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail, also known as the Holy Chalice, has been the subject of countless legends, tales, and theories regarding its current location. The Holy Grail is a legendary artifact, often depicted as Jesus Christ's cup at the Last Supper. Interestingly, many of the legends associated with the Holy Grail derived from the matter of Britain, more commonly known as Arthurian legend. It's associated with Christian mythology, symbolizing divine grace, and is a central subject of numerous medieval and modern tales, representing the quest for ultimate truth and enlightenment. These theories range from it being hidden in plain sight in cathedrals in Spain, to being safeguarded by secret societies, or even lying in undiscovered locations around the world. One prominent theory posits that the Holy Grail resides in the Basilica of San Isidoro in Leon, Spain, believed to have been brought there from Cairo, Egypt, around 1100 AD. This theory suggests that the Grail was a gift to King Ferdinand of Spain, eventually finding its way into the basilica where it remains accessible for public viewing. Another fascinating location tied to the Grail is Glastonbury, England, where it is rumored to have been brought by Joseph of Arimathea. Here, the chalice well, reputed to grant eternal youth to its drinkers, is believed to be linked to the Grail's presence. Vatican City emerges as another potential resting place, with theories suggesting the Grail could be part of its vast and secretive collection of artifacts. This theory aligns with the Vatican's long history and extensive collection, making it a plausible guardian of the Grail. Valencia, also in Spain, offers another credible claim, where a chalice, recognized and used by popes during Mass, is believed by some to be the actual Holy Grail. The Knights Templar, a medieval Christian military order, are often associated with the Grail, with theories suggesting they might have safeguarded it. Other theories suggest that the Teutonic Knights, the famous order of German knights, brought the Grail from the Holy Land to the Baltic during the Northern Crusades. Under this theory, the Holy Grail may still be housed in the giant castle complex of the Teutonic Knights at Malbork, in present-day Poland. The true location of the Holy Grail will likely never be known. It seems quite unlikely that the object, which has had an unclear chain of custody since the Last Supper itself, will ever be definitively located. Jimmy here, the YouTuber behind the Lazy Chill Zone channel, asking you for a quick favor. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and tap that sweet notification bell so you can stay up to date on all my content. I've said it before, but my goal is to create the most expansive iceberg series in YouTube history, and I want you all along for the ride. Also, consider signing up for a YouTube membership, joining the Patreon, and joining the Discord. Importantly, Patreon and YouTube membership purchases allow me to spend much more time making content for you to enjoy. Also, check out the merch store and pick something cool up while also supporting the channel. The Frankfurt Slasher. The Frankfurt Slasher's case, running from 1985 to 1990 in the Frankfurt neighborhood of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, remains a largely unsolved serial slaying. This period saw the tragic end of 8 to 9 individuals, all of whom suffered a violent demise. Leonard Christopher, who was convicted for one of these crimes, has been a central figure in discussions, though he has been dubbed a copycat killer by police. The victims shared certain characteristics. They were women living on the societal margins, many with backgrounds of mental health issues or substance dependency. Basically, the exact sort of vulnerable women monsters like these tend to prey upon. The investigation revealed a pattern of assault and a methodical manner in which the victims were left, pointing to a deliberate and cruel intention behind the acts. Most of the victims frequented Goldie's Bar, a local establishment, which emerged as a critical link in understanding the perpetrator's hunting ground. This bar was a noted hangout for women who engaged in the practice of paid companionship, so the full nature of the connection to the bar is unknown. Police efforts to solve the case were marred by controversy and criticism, with some accusing the police of attempting to sweep the slayings under the rug. Early on, there was hesitation in linking the crimes, and when connections were finally acknowledged, the focus on Leonard Christopher drew scrutiny. The reason for this scrutiny was simple. Christopher was black, and all evidence pointed toward the slayer being a white, middle-aged male. Despite the conviction of Christopher for one slaying, it is now widely believed that the real perpetrator remained at large. Given the socioeconomic status of the victims and the lack of attention on this case, unfortunately, I have my doubts as to whether this will ever be solved. Unfortunately, this is the reason serial slayers seem to target women at the bottom of this industry. Further, not all the women slain were engaged in this activity. However, they were all very much living on the outskirts of society. These predators know that many women engaging in paid companionship on the street level will have no one to advocate for them when they're gone. Further, they know that the police will, with a great degree of certainty, not allocate appropriate resources to the case. As an aside, it's unclear to me if there are any ongoing investigations into these slayings at present. The Haunting at Boy Scout Lane. Nestled away in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, Boy Scout Lane is a road shrouded in the darkest of urban legends and chilling tales. This isolated, though seemingly unremarkable stretch of land has captured the imagination of many, becoming a cornerstone of paranormal lore in the region. At the heart of Boy Scout Lane's lore is a tragic event purported to have occurred many years ago, involving a troop of Boy Scouts. The narrative, though varied in detail, consistently speaks to a disastrous outing that led to the untimely demise of the Scouts under different harrowing circumstances. One version tells of a catastrophic fire, ignited accidentally, engulfing the Scouts in flames during a camping trip. Another recounts a chilling scenario where the group's bus meets a tragic end, leading to their collective demise. Further, a more sinister variant suggests the Scouts fell victim to their trusted Scoutmaster, who slew them. What follows these tragic events is a series of paranormal phenomena attributed to the spirits of the deceased Scouts. Visitors and locals alike report an array of supernatural experiences. Some report spectral lantern lights seen bobbing through the darkness. Others report eerie sounds of footsteps and breaking branches from unseen entities. But perhaps the most chilling sight is the sight of a ghostly bus, reminiscent of the one the Scouts were last seen alive on during their trip. These latter accounts often include ghostly apparitions of the boys themselves, wandering the woods in eternal unrest. Despite its gripping narrative, there is no historical evidence supporting the initial tragic story associated with Boy Scout Lane. My brief investigations into public records and historical accounts have failed to unearth any incidents involving a Boy Scout troop meeting a tragic fate in the area. Further, I suspect if this story actually happened, there would be numerous articles and memorials to these children. This suggests the tales are purely the product of local folklore. As usual with haunting cases, the most likely explanation is that sightings are the result of mass hysteria type events, or simply the power of suggestion. At any rate, I've looked up Boy Scout Lane, and it does seem to have an eerie quality to it. It also appears to be extremely isolated, which can of course amplify the horror element. The disappearance of Jim Sullivan. This recommendation comes from subscriber Sus Ltd. Jim Sullivan, a musician who never quite found success during his life, vanished into the ether in 1975. His disappearance remains a perplexing, unsolved mystery, leaving a void filled with speculation, theories, and an enduring legacy of his music. Born on August 13, 1940, in San Diego, California, Sullivan's journey from a high school quarterback to a musician encapsulated the dreams and aspirations of the era. Moving to Los Angeles with his wife and young son in 1968, Sullivan immersed himself in the music scene, becoming a fixture at prestigious clubs and rubbing shoulders with Hollywood elites. Sullivan's musical career was marked by the release of his debut album, UFO, in 1969, a record that blended folk, rock, and country elements. Also in 1969, Sullivan was able to secure an uncredited role as a guitarist in the legendary film Easy Rider, largely due to his personal friendship with Dennis Hopper. Despite its innovative sound, the album, along with his 1972 follow-up Jim Sullivan, failed to achieve commercial success. Disheartened and with his personal life in turmoil, Sullivan set out for Nashville in March 1975, hoping for a fresh start and a chance to revive his music career. On March 4, 1975, Sullivan left Los Angeles, only to vanish in the New Mexico desert days later. His Volkswagen Beetle was found abandoned outside Santa Rosa, New Mexico, with his belongings intact, including unsold copies of his albums. In the day leading up to his disappearance, he was pulled over for a roadside sobriety test, which he apparently passed despite erratic driving. Reports indicate he was last seen at a remote ranch, with subsequent searches yielding no trace of him. Over the years, theories have abounded, from foul play to Sullivan becoming disoriented and lost, and even to speculation of alien abduction, fueled in part by the themes of his debut album. Other theories, which have no evidence whatsoever, is that he was slain by local police or the mafia. However, these appear to be the usual salacious rumors. Despite the lack of conclusive evidence regarding his fate, Sullivan's music has posthumously garnered a cult following, particularly the UFO album. Personally, I think this may be one of those rare cases where the missing person actually did go off to start a new life. Sullivan's music career had not worked out the way that he had hoped, and there is the suggestion that he may have been in some debt at the time of his disappearance. However, running counter to this, he had a wife and 2 young children who never heard from him again. The theory that he got lost and perished is also quite plausible, despite the lack of any hard evidence in favor of it. Sullivan disappeared in a remote region of New Mexico. He may have stepped away from his car to explore the terrain. While doing so, he may have become overwhelmed by the heat, become disoriented, and perished as a result. The SS Bannockburn. The SS Bannockburn, often referred to as the Flying Dutchman of the Great Lakes, has been shrouded in mystery since its disappearance in November 1902. This steel-hulled freighter, registered in Canada, was last seen during a severe winter storm on Lake Superior. Despite being a relatively new cutting-edge ship, the Bannockburn vanished without a trace after being sighted by the SS Algonquin. The only piece of wreckage ever recovered was a cork life preserver found on a beach, which provided no clues as to the ship's fate. Theories about the Bannockburn's disappearance range from a boiler explosion to the possibility of hitting the then uncharted Superior Shoal. However, the most plausible theory suggests that the ship's rudder broke, causing it to list in the waves before capsizing, a scenario that explains the lack of significant wreckage. The SS Bannockburn's disappearance has spawned a variety of paranormal explanations, primarily focusing on its reputed sightings long after its presumed sinking. These accounts have cemented its status as Lake Superior's Flying Dutchman, a ghost ship foretelling doom. One of the most famous stories involves the Walter A. Hitchinson, another ship, in 1947. The Bannockburn allegedly appeared during a storm, nearly colliding with the Hitchinson before vanishing after hitting rocks. The Bannockburn allegedly also appeared circa 2016, though details of this sighting are extremely difficult to find. Paranormal theories suggest that the ship is able to manifest during misty weather, adding to the spooky vibe associated with the Bannockburn. Another theory focuses on the lack of memorials for the lost sailors. 20 sailors went down with this ship. Despite this, the only memorial to exist is a brief memorial to the captain in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Under this theory, the restless souls of the sailors seek to terrify the occupants of other ships to remind them that they exist. I note that it seems unlikely that the Bannockburn will be found at this point, given the depth of Lake Superior and the lack of popular interest in the wreck. The Dingonek. The Dingonek, first brought to public attention in the early 20th century, has been described as a bizarre mix of animal traits. It is said to be a blend of a leopard, a hippo, and an armadillo, but various other creatures have also been tossed into the mix. It is said to come from Central Africa, near Lake Victoria, where John Alfred Jordan, a big game hunter, recorded it in 1907. Jordan's account paints a vivid picture of a creature approximately 14 to 15 feet long, with a head resembling that of a leopard, and equipped with 2 long white fangs. It possessed a broad, scaled back and a finned tail, which it used to navigate the swift currents of the Magori River. Jordan's encounter, characterized by both awe and fear, concluded with a shot fired at the creature, which subsequently disappeared, leaving no trace despite extensive searches. Further validation of the Dingonek's existence came from Charles William Hobley in 1913, a respected naturalist who confirmed the creature was known to locals. Modern cryptozoology accounts of the creature attempt to downplay the obviously fabricated nature of the creature. One common suggestion is that the creature is actually a species of, quote, jungle walrus, with the walrus's rough skin explaining the scales of the creature. The Dingonek does not appear to be an actively sighted cryptid, and does not appear to have been seen for over 100 years at this point. I would speculate that the creature was invented by John Alfred Jordan, the big game hunter, perhaps to draw notoriety to himself. Unfortunately, there simply isn't enough information about Jordan out there to really speculate on his potential motivation. Also, it would appear that there was never any local tradition of the Dingonek, unlike other African cryptids, covered so far like the Nandi bear. The airship of Clan MacNoise. This one comes recommended by subscriber Lauren Redmond. Thanks for this interesting suggestion, Lauren. Remember to leave your own comments with suggestions. If your case is covered, I'll shout you out as well. The airship of Clan MacNoise, reported around the year 740 AD over Ireland, is potentially one of the first documented UFO sightings. Originating from ancient Irish annals, the story initially described ships with crews seen floating in the sky. Over the centuries, this narrative evolved, embellished by medieval chroniclers into a rich tapestry of miraculous occurrences and otherworldly phenomena. Various theories have been put forth to explain the phenomenon. Rationally based speculation ranges from the aurora borealis, mirages, and atmospheric distortions, which could account for the visual spectacle. More speculative theories suggest that this was a UFO sighting, or the possibility of a temporal warp. With respect to the temporal warp, the thought goes that the sighting was actually a plane from modern times, witnessed by pre-modern people. Not having the language to describe a plane, they would describe it as an airship with a crew. Unfortunately, there's not too much evidence surrounding this incident, so we're left almost entirely with speculation. Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth theory is an enduring concept that posits that our planet is not a solid mass, but contains substantial internal spaces, or is entirely hollow. This idea, entwined with mythology, folklore, and speculative thought, has evolved over millennia from ancient beliefs to modern-day conspiracy theories. Ancient civilizations across the globe harbored notions of subterranean realms that intersected with their beliefs in the afterlife and origin stories. The Greeks, Egyptians, and Mesopotamians had myths of underworlds accessible through caves or tunnels, serving as gateways to worlds beneath the Earth's surface. The scientific flirtation with Hollow Earth theory can be traced back to the late 17th century, when English astronomer Edmund Halley put forth a hypothesis. He proposed that the Earth consists of concentric shells rotating independently, attempting to explain anomalies in magnetic readings. However, despite this still being relied upon today, this was simply a hypothesis based upon evidence at the time. The theory took on new dimensions when it was claimed that Admiral Richard Byrd encountered entrances to the inner Earth during polar expeditions. The Hollow Earth theory appears to me to be scientifically impossible due to several factors. The study of earthquake waves clearly shows a solid and dynamic interior, consisting of the crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core, each with distinct properties and compositions. Earth's gravitational field, generated by its massive, dense core, further contradicts the possibility of a hollow structure. Additionally, the planet's magnetic field, generated by the movement of molten iron in the outer core, would not exist in a hollow Earth. Giant shrimp in the laundry room. Thanks to Discord user _frog for this truly bizarre cryptid suggestion. In 1948, An extraordinary encounter allegedly unfolded in Bremerton, Washington. Virginia Staples, a resident of the area, reported witnessing what has come to be known as the Bremerton giant shrimp within her apartment building's basement laundry room. This peculiar sighting first came to light through her personal account published in the 6th edition of Strange magazine. According to the original account, still published online by Strange magazine in archival form, the following occurred. While doing laundry, Virginia felt an eerie presence and saw a creature as tall as her, 5 feet, with a bright orange body, thin, spidery legs, and moving antenna. Terrified, she fled the apartment and immediately moved to Seattle, being so afraid to live in the area. She later sought to identify the creature at an aquarium, finding only a tiny shrimp resembling it. When she visited Bremerton years later to clarify the experience, the apartment had been torn down. The most common and obvious explanation for this cryptid and this incident is that it is simply a hoax. Perhaps the creature was invented by the writers at Strange magazine, who needed some additional content for an issue. Or perhaps Virginia, or the person purporting to be Virginia, faked the story. Other possibilities include a hallucination. I'm sure numerous people have seen giant crustaceans which aren't there over the years. Anyway, from my brief research into Strange magazine, this publication looks to be the pre-internet version of the multitude of paranormal subreddits or 4chan's X-board. That is to say, these are forums where the truth of an event is secondary to how interesting the event is. And I think I can speak for virtually all of us when I say that we all love a good giant shrimp in the basement laundry room story. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, check out the Patreon, my YouTube membership, and the Discord. Links are in the description. Huge thanks to all my YouTube members and patrons. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Kazak Cutie, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, and Jeffer Metcalf. Big shout out to YouTube member Jordan All. Until next time, stay safe and healthy, and peace out.